5 years ago, most people saw Costa Rica as a vacation destination. Now people are selling homes, leaving major cities, moving their businesses, and completely changing the way they live. Something bigger is happening here. And behind the beaches, sunsets, and the Pura Vida lifestyle, there's an entirely different story unfolding. This is Coco Confidential, a podcast about people, businesses, lifestyle, investment, and real stories shaping the life in paradise. I'm Robbie, and this is the first episode. We're talking about why everybody suddenly seems to be moving to Costa Rica and whether this shift is only just the beginning. Today, I have Steve from Expat Properties. I've got Talia, also realtor with Expat Properties CR, and Juan Pablo, real estate agent with Expat Properties, and also a fantastic photographer doing real estate photography. So, welcome everyone.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey guys. So today we're talking about why everything and everyone is all about Costa Rica right now. So what first brought us to Costa Rica? Juan Pablo, why don't you take the lead? What first brought you to Costa Rica?
Well, my husband and I bought a condo in 2020. And then we said, why not? We're just going to buy property, start vacationing here. And so we started coming, and then being here became kind of like an addiction, where leaving the country was kind of like a sad process. And then we went back home, and then we were already looking forward to coming back to Costa Rica. So the 5 days became like a week and a half, and a week and a half became 2 weeks, and so on until we finally decided. When the reason why we took so long, it was because our dog, he was epileptic. So we didn't want to bring him to the heat, because us living in Ontario, Canada, where, winter cold weather, he loved the cold weather. So I didn't want to bring the dog here to a really, really hot country. So we waited for him to pass, and then he finally passed. And in 2024, we booked the date March 13. We said we're moving to Costa Rica, sold everything, and we came here with 6 bags.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. Talia, how long have you been in Costa Rica now, full time?
Almost 8 years.
8 years.
So we
And
moved September 2018.
Wow, 8 years. That's fantastic. And what drove you and your family to make the jump to Costa Rica?
I just feel like for me, 2015, 2016, 2017 was very traumatic to be a Black person in the United States. And I know it sounds weird, but, anytime something political happened, it was constantly being passed around. So you were constantly in this state of like fight or flight, because you're watching all these things happen to people and no consequences, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm a beach bum. We used to love going to Puerto Rico. I was like, let's just do something different. Let's try something new. And I talked my husband Thomas into it, but he had never been to Costa Rica. He was like, fine, we'll move. But he had never been to Costa Rica. Like, he only experienced like a little bit of rest and beach life in Puerto Rico. So I was doing layovers because, I'm still a flight attendant. So I was doing layovers in Costa Rica, and I had been doing like the Liberia area like for months. I had been coming off and on. So I knew the whole front desk staff and stuff. So when I walked in, they were like, oh, hello, Talia, welcome, and then when they saw him and they were handing him drinks, and he was like, oh, wait a minute, we can do this every day, so he got really excited about it. And he was like, you know what? Yep, let's do it. Let's go.
8 years in and no plans on leaving, right?
No plans on leaving. No.
And Steve, tell us about your realization that Costa Rica was the place you needed to be.
My husband told me to.
So obedient. Yes. Okay.
I do as I'm told.
Why do you guys think that Costa Rica is suddenly becoming this hotbed for immigrants, expats, whatever you want to call us? Why are we coming here? Who wants to take it?
I'll start. All right. I think that it's pretty much the craziness, that's going on in North America, me coming from, you know, I I kind of like know the lifestyle of Central America because I was born in Guatemala. So coming here for me, it wasn't that much big of a difference. Just, you know, I'm on a beach town. So coming from Canada to Costa Rica is a big change. And I do love being here because your lifestyle is not as fast paced as it is in North America. For me to go to the office, I mean, it takes me like a 30-second drive. You know what I mean? Back in Canada, I used to like commute for like 30, 35 minutes, and there's like everything is so close. And I think another major thing that made me come here, it was I'm a lot closer to my mom. And, you know, my mom's not getting any younger. So it's a matter of me to go across the border and I can be at my mom's house in about 5 hours. But I think that for somebody who owns property here in Costa Rica, it's a lot cheaper than somebody that doesn't, because then if somebody doesn't own property, you have to come and pay the rent and then their food and all of this. But when you have property that you have no mortgage on it, that it becomes a little cheaper. In my opinion, this is how I see it. Some things are going to be a little bit more expensive, of course. If you want to eat like you eat back home, then food is going to be a little bit more expensive. But to me, I absolutely love the Costa Rican food. Like I'll eat out of soda any day, every day, 365 days a year. I love the food. I can live on it. But I grew up on that food as well when I was living back in Guatemala. So to me, it's not a big difference. I just really enjoyed that food.
Well, the food is excellent, and I know that Dale is a big fan of food.
I know. Yes.
So, but for you, Juan, you're saying basically part of being in Costa Rica is proximity for your family too. So being close to your mom and stuff
Yes.
like that. Costa Rica is an easy place to travel from.
Yes. Coming from Canada to Costa Rica, we were paying about $7,000-8,000 for our property taxes back in Canada. Well, down here, you know, I can pretty much live with that money, pay my bills and everything for, you know, that'll take me for about 9 to 10 months of the year because everything is so much cheaper. I'm talking for somebody who already has a property that doesn't have a mortgage.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just, you know, your bills are way less than what they are back home.
The cost of living changes dramatically between renting and owning, for sure. The rentals, I feel, are expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot of people ask me, and then, you know, it's just Costa Rica is so expensive. And I said, well, how much do you pay for property taxes back home? And it's like, well, I pay like $9,000 a year. And I was like, mine's are $244 a year. You know, like it's a big difference. But the food is so expensive. But I mean, you're comparing food and then, you know, compared to the taxes as if you were to just sell everything, buy a property here, then it's still going to be a lot cheaper, in my opinion.
No, and the food cost is relative because, you know, when you're coming in and you don't know where to shop, because like the cost of beef in Costa Rica is so much cheaper. I was getting like 5 steaks for $52. And when I'm in the States and I would go to my butcher, it's $29.99 a pound for ribeye. You know, so it's relative. And if you're buying like fresh fruits and vegetables in Costa Rica, they're cheap unless you're at one of the like boutique stores.
Yeah, and
people talk about how Costa Rica is getting a little bit more expensive. Yeah, it is compared to 15 years ago, but in comparison to the rest of the world, they're experiencing the same kind of minor inflation. It's not as bad as in other countries, but they're experiencing the gentrification, the global stage. You know, housing everywhere is becoming more expensive, right? So they're experiencing the same thing. Yeah, it's not the same prices that you were used to 15 years ago when you came here to vacation with your buddies. It's a little more expensive, but it's still, compared to the rest of the world, centrally located, relatively great amenities, beautiful place to live. It's very hot, but in some parts, and very cold in others. So it's a very interesting country to spend time in because you get a lot of climates, but there's a lot of chit chat about costs rising, and it's rising in every country around the world. So I think people need to kind of just keep that in mind, you know.
Yeah,
well,
I think that's the other thing too is that a lot of people that retire, like in Costa Rica, they come and live like they're still on vacation. Like somebody who's retired, they come in and they move here, they buy property, but then they live every day like they're on vacation on a fixed income. that, for somebody that comes here for a week, they're going to say, yeah, I'm just going to blow, 10 grand on my trip, whatever, but I'm not going to be doing that every day. For people, some people that do it here every single day, of course, it's going to become expensive. So that's when I told my husband when we first were moving here, I said, if we're going to do this, we're not going to be going out every day. We're not going to go do this every day because we are not on vacation anymore. We are going to be living here. And for me, it's going to just be my normal life that I was living back in Canada. I'm going to be living it in Costa Rica, that I'm going to be doing working Monday through Friday, no crazy night outs, and no spending money at bars every night, because it becomes expensive. And that's when I think people also, that's what they talk about Costa Rica being expensive, but you're not on vacation anymore. Now you're living here. So lifestyle has to change a little bit, in my opinion. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think people saying living here like they're on vacation is a huge expat pitfall, which we'll talk about pitfalls, definitely. But I think that's living like you're on vacation. Obviously, it's not sustainable, right? So
yeah,
but that's a good transition to our global shift on Costa Rica. So, I mean, obviously with the pandemic, everybody was switching to remote work, and now there's a lot of hybrid and other remote work opportunities. What do you guys think that's changing the perception of Costa Rica? Do you think it's making Costa Rica more viable for North Americans? Like, what are our thoughts on the global shift on remote work?
I would say the amount of people that I've been speaking to that had the ability to do remote work, Costa Rica is a great place for them. If they can dial up fast internet, which we do have fast fiber optic internet where we live, and I think that's pretty prevalent in most of the country now. So as long as they can dial in and their company allows it, there's a lot of avenues available to them legally through the Costa Rican government to stay here on special visas and do their work remotely. And I think for those people who can do it and who want to have that experience of living abroad, Costa Rica is a great place to kind of dip your toe and see if it's right for you, because living outside of your home country is something most people don't do. And it is a great way to experience the world and other cultures and kind of enrich your own personal life by experiencing the way other people experience theirs. So the digital nomads that come here that do work remotely seem to really enjoy it. And depending on the time zone they're required to work in, they might be done with work by 1 o'clock and then they go hit the beach or, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm definitely seeing it with our
people-
client base.
Yeah, you see people all over the place taking like work video calls from like the beach or the pool and stuff here all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, where it's like, Talia, are you guilty?
No, you're always on the phone.
Well,
Talia's always on a plane.
Oh, that's true.
I may have done a Zoom from the trunk of my car before, sitting in the trunk, like looking at the ocean.
Hey, as a realtor, the world is your office, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Yes.
what do you guys think that is causing Costa Rica to be a much bigger destination than other parts of the world, or specifically maybe other parts of Latin America?
I think the
Ease
ease
of
of
travel?
travel. Yeah, because, hands down, if you're going to Vietnam or Cambodia and out that way, yes, it's cheaper. But if you need to get back to the US or you need to get back to Canada, that's a whole 24 hours of travel. Yeah, it's the ease of travel. Like, I feel like the longest flight that we have to the States, like maybe Liberia to LA, it's like 6 hours, or with wind, 6.5 hours. So most people can get first stop, be in the US within 3-4 hours. So the location positions it, especially people, I feel like in my age range, our parents are getting older. We need to be able to jump and go, and some people don't want to, there's a group of people who don't want to leave until their parents die or something like that. They want to be there and be close. And then there's the folks like us. I'm like, okay, I've got to live my life for me, but I still want to be able to get there if something happens. So we are positioned in a really nice, sweet spot where people can get to their loved ones pretty quickly.
That's true. I mean, we saw that with Steve's dad, being sick in Utah. We were able to get in and out of there very easily, visit him, no problems. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. And we have a lot of people in Orlando, super easy to get in and out of Orlando from here. And having 2 international airports is obviously very helpful. We have Liberia and San Jose, so that's a huge win for the country.
Yeah, I mean, they even have direct flights to Europe during certain times of the year. But you know, even if
I'm
you
ready to
wanted
hop
to
on that
travel,
Amsterdam.
I know you are. Yes.
At Liberia to Amsterdam to come back for real.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened. That was last year they had
I was
that.
like, dang it! Right when I'm ready, it's gone.
So, I mean, from a digital nomad standpoint, obviously that's a big influx of people looking to move here. I mean, are there any, other motivations for these folks? Like, what's driving them besides, okay, they can work remotely, but they can work remotely in any beautiful place in the US, or Canada. Why work in Costa Rica? Like, what's the drive for specifically Costa Rica? Anything else?
It's a healing country. Like people come to Costa Rica because it just feels good. Like the minute you land, you're like, we're here. It's a country that feels really good. The people are very nice. One of the main complaints people hear when they go to Europe, the people are rude. They're not necessarily rude. You're just not used to them. But Costa Rican people are just overly super nice.
They really are.
There's always that welcoming feeling when you get here, when you meet people, when you get out on the street, and that is, that's refreshing for a lot of us.
Yeah, of course.
True.
And I think the other two thing is that, for my husband and I to be here now, we're going for almost 3 years. We have friends and family members that sees us doing what we're doing here in Costa Rica, and some of them is like, "My God, you're crazy!" But then now they're seeing like, "Oh my God, they're really living like the life," and then they are wanting to do this because they have already come to Costa Rica. Friends of ours, family members, they've already experienced how we live here in Costa Rica. They go back home and they start talking about it. So I think that's another reason why people are looking to Costa Rica, because so many people are talking about it when they go back home.
You don't realize the difference until you're here full time for a while. That it's just, I mean, there's obviously pros and cons, but in general, it's just a calmer, easier place to live, less stressful, just overall, unless you have to go to the bank, but besides that, it's a very relaxing place to be. Everybody's chill. It's wonderful, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, like when you see
Anything not to go to the bank.
True. But it's the different for a lot of people too, because like I said before, everything's like, for me, everything I've seen here in Coco area, when you see like the father, the 3 kids and the mother on a motorcycle, and then I'm just like, yeah, and then everybody goes like, "Oh my God, did you see that family?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, in your reaction, and I was like, "Oh, it's just normal for me because I've seen
They got to
this
get around like
when I was a kid."
else.
So to
Hold
me,
on
it's
tight.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an experience for everybody.
And then that's like an economic thing. Like if you look at those bikes, you can get a motorcycle for what, $1,400, $1,200, $2,000, but imported cars are so expensive. So yeah, you're gonna catch a whole family of 5 on a $2,000 motorbike, as opposed to them being in a 1989 car that somebody wants to sell for like $6,000, $6,500. So
Yeah.
That is true. I mean, the electric bikes are becoming so popular now. Like you go to PriceSmart, you can buy one for like $800, and there is a lot of people that are using them around here.
Yeah. I if I was gonna ride a bike, it would have to be an electric bike because it is too hot for me to bike. So what are the big surprises that people realize once they get here? Does anybody have any personal ones after moving to Costa Rica? What surprised you?
Surprised me? I think it was how things can happen very slow here for me. When you come from North America and it's a fast-paced things happen very quickly. And then you come here and then you finally, we get frustrated because we're not used to it. And then you finally get to the realization, like, this is how just things are done in Costa Rica. So whenever I'm going to go do something and somebody tells me, it's going to be next week, I don't hold my breath. I just, whenever it's ready, it's ready. That's just how I see it. I don't get frustrated anymore. I just go with the flow. This is how they do things here. I'm not going to change anything. So, pura vida. Let's
Just
go.
double the time, and tranquilo.
As soon as someone tells me it's going to be a week, I'm automatically like planning in my mind 3 weeks. I'm like, all right, 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
The worst response you can get is, it's a process. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll see you in 4 months.
Never.
Yeah. The other thing too is, when you want to go buy something and it's kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack and you have to go shop every single store within like a 45-minute drive and you still come back home not finding what you wanted to buy. That sometimes
Yeah.
is so frustrating, So then it is what it is.
It's a
I would say,
nationwide scavenger hunt to go shopping, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
as a result, the productivity level you're used to in your home country is greatly diminished. Like Robbie and I always joked, back home we could make a list of 12 to 13 things to get done that day, and we could get them all done. Here, our measure of success is, were we able to accomplish 3 things? Then it's a good day.
Yeah.
and
If
we're
we got
okay
3
with
things
it.
done, it's a huge win, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
I
I've
would
had
agree with
clients
that.
ask me before, we've seen houses and like a lot of the decors are very similar. And I'm like, everybody kind of shops at the same place. Like we don't have much to shop from. So, you're probably going to end up having the same decor as somebody else's in somebody's condo. So,
Because baby, everybody dishes, restaurants included, come from Pequeño Mundo.
right?
Hi, Dale.
Hi, Talia.
He broke through your virtual screen anyways.
Honestly, a surprise for me with Juan Pablo saying how things take a long time, I would say the level of bureaucracy is impressive for such a small country.
Yes.
I'm
I
not
agree.
speaking ill of it in any way, but to get things done with the government or residency, anything that involves or touches the government, any government agency, just brace yourself. And, I wish that immigration was faster. To get a bank account, the kind that we wanted took 4 months. There's all kinds of paperwork. I make the joke that I've never spent so much on paper as when I came to Costa Rica. Like every piece of paper was a couple $100, and you had to go to this one place in this one town to get it. And it has to be the physical copy. It can't be scanned and emailed or even faxed. Like, we don't fax anymore in the US. I anticipated maybe they might take a fax or something, but everyone has their envelope of all their papers, and they come to, whatever organization they're going to with, here's all my papers. What of my legal documents do you need? That I have no idea what you need. And it could be a different response depending on the person that's at the desk that day. Oh, well, we need this as well as all the 5 things I told you last time. So it's a little bit of a process, like I said, that magical word of getting everything you need, your lifestyle to the way you want it, living normally, as we say, what you're used to, being able to get things done. Anything to do with the government is a good time. So I think finding the right attorney, the right accountant, the right guide for these things, it's not that it's difficult. It's just that you need to know somebody who's done it before, who knows the pitfalls and probably what they're going to ask you, which they're not going to tell you on the first visit. So having someone who's done it before is very, very helpful. And I'm very grateful for those people that I've found down here, both professionals and friends who have gone through this, who have been able to help us. I feel very lucky that our company was able to land some very solid legal, accounting, all kinds of professional assistants, that people who really knew what they were doing, because I've heard so many stories of professionals not knowing what they're doing that have been to the detriment of their clients.
We should definitely do an episode about pitfalls on paperwork in Costa Rica, because obviously a lot of people spend a lot of time doing fixing paperwork mistakes and stuff like that, starting over in processes. So, I mean, that would be a great idea for a full
potential pitfalls in paperwork.
Like,
Yeah,
But yeah, Steve, I mean, you're talking about immigration part, like, as you all know, like Dale, he applied for his residency, even though I'm going under him. He got his residency in like 7 months. And then right afterwards, he got his driver's license very, very quickly. We did all the process. But just because your husband or, a couple is filing for immigration to get their residency together doesn't mean that they're actually going to get it at the same time, because for them it took 7 months. For me, it took almost 3 years. I just received mine not long ago, and I was just able to finally do my driver's license, which it was today. So don't expect that. As our lawyer told us, that sometimes immigration make changes, but they don't have a website where they post all these changes. So your lawyer is actually not aware of any of the changes. They actually have to send somebody to that office or call somebody to let them know why is it that my client's residency hasn't been processed. And then that was the case with mine. Now they required me to do a payment in advance as to wait until my residency was in place to make that payment. But they don't let that know to anybody. And the reason why we found out it was because our lawyer was diligently going to the immigration office. And then that's when they told her he needs to make this payment in order for us to continue with his residency process. So my residency was just like stuck in there, not moving, but nobody had any idea as to like why it wasn't moving.
One thing I definitely want to make sure we talk about before we wrap up our premiere episode is why we think so many expats fail when moving abroad and end up going home.
Well, I think that a lot of people come here when it's high season, but they haven't really experienced as well like the rainy season. What is it to be here like 365 days of the year? You might come here when it's high season, you see all these people around, but then when those people go home, this place is a ghost town. Like there is nobody around, which I absolutely love. Like it's just very quiet. And then for some people, that might be something where they feel like very lonely and they might not like that. Some people might not like the rainy season. I've heard people here when they come, for example, right now, which is really, really hot. They say like, I didn't think that I had like a tolerance for heat, but like, I can't take this heat. So I have to go home. And I think it's the weather sometimes and not being here, experiencing an entire year being in Costa Rica.
Good point. Good
Because
point.
when you come on vacation, it's different as to like when you're here in the low season.
But you also, I think, and I lived this in Brazil, you definitely acclimate to the climate. When
Yes.
Robbie and I first got here, every AC was on in the house at 16, and we were just like, oh, it's so hot. And now our ACs are like at 25. Well, this one's at 27 right now.
26. Mine's at 26 right now.
Yeah. So you definitely, like, your blood thins a little bit. I don't know if that's an actual scientific term, but you get used to a certain level of heat. And to your point, Juan Pablo, they just don't stick it out long enough. Or they get so frustrated with everything that they just don't have the patience.
True. And I think also is that a lot of the expats that are here, living here full time, a lot of them do not have a vehicle. So for them, it's like walking to the store, walking to a restaurant, walking to a bar, walking everywhere. Meanwhile, for us, it's like, it might be a 10-minute walk, but we choose to get in the car with the AC, go to the store. It's a little different for us. We don't have to walk anymore because before, I mean, I had to go, a good 10-minute walk to Mega Super to go grocery shopping. And then I come out of the Mega Super. It's like, there's no taxi drivers anywhere
Especially
in
not on
town.
Sunday. If you
And
coming
then
out on
I have to walk out back to my condo, which now is a 10-minute walk turns into a 20 because I'm carrying all these groceries under the heat. And, now I have a vehicle, so I just don't have that issue anymore. So a lot of people don't like the heat, right, Talia?
I love it, but they came for the blue zone lifestyle. So you wanted the blue zone, so you get out there and walk. You walk to the store, you walk to the beach, you carry them groceries. I thought you wanted to live long and be fine. Like, I thought that's what we were doing. So
that's why they're living so long. They're walking everywhere.
And we did just get
that
Uber.
tortilla.
So this would be a good one for Talia. Why do people end up staying long term? Since you got 8 years, you're the longest tenured year.
Okay, let's see. I wasn't prepared for that. I was prepared for why folks leave. So let me see. Why do people stay? It's really about integrating your life and changing, your expectations. You have to temper your expectations, period, because there's a couple things that go on. Number one, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So people come down here and they have nothing to do, and they start chasing skirts and them cute little boys on the boat. So they're me and Thomas have a time where we're like, oh, Coco got another one. Like every time we hear that somebody's getting divorced, and then one person going back to the States, and we're like, oh, Coco got another one. So it's about.
So you're saying Coco's breaking up marriages, Talia?
I mean, there may or may not have been a few that we are party to that we know about. But I'm just saying, people don't have anything to do, so they get in trouble. So you have to find something to occupy your time, find something to do with yourself every day. Because people just get down there and be like, I don't know what to do, and they get in trouble. So that's one thing. Like, you have to find some kind of purpose, some kind of passion, some type of hobby, some type of job, something that'll, kind of ground you in reality and remind you that this is not vacation. And then, everywhere you go, there you are. So your expectations is a lot of people end up going back to the States because they expected Costa Rica to be something that it's not. And they want Costa Rica to be where they came from. So they're always complaining about, like you were talking about, going to the bank or the bureaucracy or the price of groceries. And I'm like, well, where are you shopping? Why are you going to the bank on a Friday? Certain things can be avoided, but you have to do the work yourself. And people who stay are people who adopt a more relaxed lifestyle. They learn to let stuff go. They're not so, this has to be done right now. They learn, tranquila, papi. Like, I'm going to just relax, get it done, and really start to integrate more of the Costa Rican way of life, more of the Costa Rican things into their life, and build a community from there. And don't just have expat friends, don't just have North American friends. Like, meet some Costa Ricans, hang out with them. You have to build a life around Costa Rica. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not gonna have a good experience here. And that's why a lot of people leave.
You have to integrate to society to some degree, right? Like, you can't just move to a foreign country and be outside of the society and system. You've got to integrate.
Right. Correct.
For sure.
Don't be that guy.
Right. I
all know
agree with
those.
you about the needing a purpose here, though. I mean, I think that is so. If you move here and you're not working because you can't work here or you don't want to work, and all this stuff, like, what is your purpose here? Like, what are you doing? Are you involved in community, outreach? Are you being part of the neighborhood? What are you doing? So I think that's an excellent point. Like, you can't just come here and be outside the system. You got to come here and be involved.
Right.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up this first episode. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Again, this is Steve, Talia, and Juan Pablo. I'm Robbie. We're all from Expat Properties, talking about all the gossip for expats and real estate here at Playas del Coco in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Pura vida.
Welcome to Coco Confidential, your guide to expat life in Playas del Coco.